All right, starting over. 2014, the first ever college football rankings have come out, and Mississippi State is ranked number 1. And the first game they have to play as the first number 1 team is this game at Kentucky, late October, on the road. CBS broadcast, Vern and Gary, national audience. Dak Prescott and company go up there. I turned this game on the other day and I was working out in the morning, and it hit me going back of what an important situation it was at the time. Everybody remembers the Auburn game, the LSU games from that year from Mississippi State. Nobody talks about this one. But this was really important, given it's your first time through the curtain as, hey, we're ranked number 1. And it was a close game. People forget this was a really high-scoring game. State couldn't stop them. It was a one-score game going into the fourth quarter. And Josh Robinson had almost 200 yards rushing in the game. He was the key. He had 2 huge plays in this game. Now, the one run that everybody remembers from that game from Josh is this one.
7-point game. Robinson.
Yeah, do they go back to him? Yep.
Now he had yardage. They should spot this. Oh, no, he's still up. Oh, my gracious.
Jeez, that's a highlight film run for...
He morphed into Johnny Manziel.
Holy cow.
But I found that this late run, fourth quarter run, one-score game, early fourth quarter, this run from Josh Robinson on 3rd and 1, maybe the biggest of his career, close to the one at LSU, but certainly the biggest one of this game.
They give it to Robinson. He breaks the tackle. Foot race at the 30. How about the cutback? Josh Robinson angles for the touchdown.
My goodness.
So I take that play. I shared it on Twitter yesterday because I thought, well, what we're going to start doing on the radio show is going back and look at classic games for different teams and huge moments that we're not necessarily remembering. So on Twitter yesterday, I posted this video, getting set for a month of reliving the classic games. And this is the first one. I pointed this play out, put the video clip on Twitter and that kind of thing. And then I posted a subsequent video that had just a short little draw it up to kind of show you a couple things. And I asked one of the guys who was playing in this game, the right guard on this play, Ben Beckwith, who's on Twitter at @BBeckwith66, if this was how it was drawn up, because it's kind of hard to figure out based on who was unblocked and how the play actually worked, if that was the way it was drawn up. I wanted to show you his response, if I can get to it here. So his response to that question I thought was really interesting. He said, we have 5 to block 7 here. Should have thrown hot, because that means they had the numbers in the box. And I'll show you that on the play. He said the right tackle should have reached the 5 at worst, and Dak should read the field side end if he decides not to throw hot. This play is all screwed up, but J-Rob makes something out of it. Sometimes football plays work in mysterious ways. And then he followed that up a little bit later. He said, I'm watching this again and noticed Dylan, that's the center. Okay, Dylan Day, the center, left the shade technique to pick up the A-gap blitzer. So many guys going unblocked on this play and still a touchdown. Pretty cool stuff. So let's look at the play based on what he said. This is Ben Beckwith. He's the right guard on this play. And you heard him mention Dylan Day, the center. Things are going to kind of originate there. And it's important to see this angle because he said we had 5 to block 7. So 3 down linemen, 1, 2, 3, and a 4 linebacker set. It's a classic 3-4 look with a head up nose, 5 techniques. Okay, here with their hands down as the, hand down defensive ends. But these are really stand up defensive ends in a 3-4. They're called linebackers, but they're more like stand up defensive ends, just different personnel. But all in all, 7 at the line of scrimmage. And for Mississippi State, 5 linemen. There are no up backs. There are no tight ends. So it's 5 versus 7. That's why he said that. In the formation, State put 3 receivers to the left side of the field and singled up into the boundary, 3 by 1. Now, in Ben's tweet, he said they should throw hot. Why? You're outnumbered in the box. 7 men in the box. There are no safeties, and they've jumped in straight up man-to-man on every receiver that you have, and no safety help. And so when he says we should have thrown hot, that's because the defense is going straight up man with no safeties. They are challenging you to throw the football on 3rd and 1. They know you want to run it. In this situation, fourth quarter, they know, everybody knows you're going to run it, so they put everybody in the box. So that's why you're outnumbered. On the snap, the left defensive end with his hand down, or defensive tackle, I should say, 5 technique with his hand down, doesn't get blocked. Instead, the right tackle on that play goes out to the stand-up defensive end and leaves him alone. So it's kind of hard to see. We're going to see it from behind, but this defender, who's a defensive tackle who's unblocked with a linebacker behind him, you can see Dak's eyes on this side of the play. But what Beckwith is saying is that the tackle should be down on him, and this guy, 47, should be unblocked, and that should be who Prescott is reading off of. Instead, it's blocked wrong. The tackle is out. They've left the defensive tackle alone, and now he's in a position to make the play because the quarterback gave the football. So he's unblocked, clear to the ball carrier. And you heard what he said, too, is the center, Dillon, came off to go get the blitzer, and that leaves another defensive lineman unblocked in the hole. They've got him squeezed right here at the line of scrimmage, right at the point of attack where he's got to get the first down. Beckwith has done what he's supposed to do up to the linebacker, and that's why once Robinson breaks these tackles of these defensive linemen, because of Beckwith's block, turns into a touchdown because there's no safety help. That's an outstanding open field cut right there on a defender who actually had the angle, and Robinson enough ability to understand that. There's my cut, and that's why he turns it into a touchdown. Now, let's look at it from the behind angle. It's really clear. Again, the way the play happens is this defender, the defensive tackle, is who is unblocked. What Ben is saying on Twitter should happen is the offensive tackle should be here, or when he said reach, I guess maybe try to get to his inside. I don't know, but he should be there. So you go here, and then center and guard, Beckwith and Day work nose guard up to the linebacker. So, if you were to draw a bubble, you'd have 3 on 3 right here and leave that stand-up end unblocked, and that's who the quarterback would read off of in this play. But obviously it doesn't happen that way. There's your center guard combo up to the linebacker. But with this, defensive tackle standing in there unblocked because of the linebacker, 2 defenders in the hole. Beckwith doing his job, combo up to the next level. But you've got unblocked defensive tackle sitting in the hole. And as he said, Dylan Day has now turned to pick up that A-gap blitzer, and that turns another defensive tackle loose right in the hole. But because of his burst, he's just got more urgency than they do. The one who's turned loose doesn't really know he's there yet. The other who saw it the whole way and respected the quarterback, so he froze a little bit, is too slow getting there, and your running back's able to get through. It's not blocked correctly. Defensively, they have numbers, they have plenty of people, but this guy and his athletic ability is what makes it work. And really, one lineman on that side, Beckwith, who's doing his job, and because he's up on that linebacker, that clears the path and nothing but green. So it's not blocked correctly. Kentucky, 2 future high NFL draft picks, and Smith and Dupree on that defensive front, but Robinson takes it to the house. So if you look at that Kentucky game and go into the box score, you can really see just how important Josh Robinson's day was for Mississippi State. Now, Prescott, super productive running the football. He had 18 carries, 33 yards, 2 touchdowns. But Josh Robinson, 23 carries, 198 yards, 2 TDs. You look at receiving, he had the 1 catch for 11 yards, but he was the one thing on the offense they just could not stop, and it kind of opened everything else up. And 2014, back on that particular day, Dak, 18 of 33, 216 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. They didn't really hurt him that much through the air. They had some big plays, some key plays, but it was mostly on the ground. 326 yards rushing as a football team, and that was the difference in that ball game, the line of scrimmage. All right, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed that. Little film study here, get us keyed up for what we hope is going to be a 2020 football season. But that one, to me, you go back, and it's one thing that's so interesting to go back and kind of remember the importance of that situation and how important I think that play was. But then to get coached on it by a guy who was on the field, on the line of scrimmage, as to what really went on is pretty cool. And I think it's a great example of what coaches have always said. Winning football is about Jimmys and Joes, not X's and O's. You can do sometimes everything right and lose. Sometimes you can do a whole bunch of things wrong and still win because you got a guy with that SEC burst that just jumps through the hole even though everybody's unblocked, and he runs it 73 yards for a touchdown. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. See you.